back on sports, and I want to say now, before we get started on what happened last night and all these other sports topics, I want to say that at the end of this video, I have something very important to talk about with you fans, all right? It is very important. I would like to get your advice on the issue. I've already talked to some close friends about it. I've already talked to family about it. I've talked to my facility about it. I want to get, you guys and girls' opinion on this situation. Even though I don't want anyone to be blindsided by what they're trying to offer me. It is a deal. It is a deal. I'll tell you that now, okay? But what they're trying to offer me, you have to look past that. This is what happens when you deal with a lot of negotiations and promotions, okay? So we'll talk about that at the end of the video, okay? I want to start off today. Before we talk about Super Bowl, I want to rewind back, all right, about 2 weeks. And I want to talk about one Christie. That's right. I got to talk about this. I've seen a lot of people from New Jersey, they're just getting shit on left and right, given what Christie has said, all right? We know that Christie is a fucking bandwagoner, okay? We have seen, I've done videos on before, we have seen Christie all of a sudden be a Cowboys fan. Remember, he was a Jets fan. Then he was a Giants fan. Then he was what? He was a Cowboys fan. Now we're finding out, okay, that before the Super Bowl, when the Patriots were still in the playoffs, that Christie was going out and rooting for the Patriots. I think it's safe to say that now we can't call him a bandwagoner anymore. He's not even a bandwagoner at this point. After that, you know what? I'm kind of convinced that he's not even a sports fan. Because a sports fan would not jump from team to team to team to team like this in such a short amount of time. Not even bandwagoners do that. They wait till something's really popular and say where they're going to go, then they jump. So they just jump on that one team. Christie has jumped in so many teams. Remember, the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, and like I said, now the Patriots. This is strictly a political move for Christie as far as I'm concerned. He's not a sports fan. I don't want to believe that at all. A sports fan, and I bring this into a sports aspect, because remember, this is the man that's campaigning because he wants to run the country. And I say this is going to backfire. It's not going to work for him due to the fact that this man, if he can't even have one single loyalty to a sports team, what the fuck makes you think that he'll have any loyalty to this country? Matter of fact, he hasn't had any loyalty to the state of New Jersey. If anyone has seen what's been going on there, the people in New Jersey, at this point, they should just block him out of New Jersey altogether. All right? After the things that he has said about New Jersey, all that flooding and everything that was going on, he's like, oh, you should just go get a mop. Are you serious? People had lost their homes. People didn't even recover from was it Hurricane Sandy, let alone the winter storm that happened over there. And you still want to play this game about it's not a big deal. You do not deserve to be in New Jersey. You don't deserve to be, part of Washington, let alone that, and be this country's leader. And you sure as hell don't deserve to be called a sports fan. That's what I'm going to say. Speaking of Washington, let's move on a little bit more before I start talking about the Super Bowl, okay? In Washington, D.C., for those who don't know, Washington, D.C. is coming up with a new law. They're trying to come up with a new law that they're going to pay people to not commit crimes. That's right. Now you're getting paid not to commit crimes. This has to be the dumbest shit I've seen in my life. No. And they're saying, they've done it before in other places, and it works so well. How about this? Instead of paying people, because they're saying you can earn up to $9,000, that's right, a year, I guess, $9,000 a year to not kill anyone. So if that's the case, where's my money? Where's my money all these years? I haven't killed anybody. Where's my money? Look, I put it like this. Instead of using that money to pay people to not kill anyone, how about you decide you take that money and you put it into some programs so people can stay out of trouble? No? Not that? Okay. Why don't you take that money and start putting into some more education for these people? No? Not that. We're just going to keep the same system that we have going on here, especially with the student aids, the financial aids, which is a scam to begin with. You'll be paying that shit off for the rest of your life. But you don't want to do that, right? Let's just give money to people so they don't kill people, commit crimes. So now, you're getting money for something that we already know you're not supposed to do. Unreal. Unfucking real. Like I said, why don't you put it, money into, building better places for living and, things. No. You want to raise the property taxes, things. No, that's what you do, though, right? How about you take that money, and start putting more, more police presence or security in bad neighborhoods so they can stop the drugs from floating into the ghetto, or the guns, the illegal guns, just say, because the numbers are filed off them, from flooding into the ghetto. No? You don't want to do that either, huh? We'll just pay people to stop killing people, huh? That's what you want to do. I swear to God. This type of shit, like I said, you could always take the money and put it into more, recreational parks, right? So that they would have more activities and more sports. Hey, nope, don't want to do that either. Okay. All right. There's so many ways you can go with this and what you can do to help people. And instead, you just want to pay them flat out for not killing someone. Something that it's already not supposed to do. It's a fucking joke. It is. Let's move on to the Super Bowl, please. Like I said, I just want to get some of those things off my chest before we talk about the Super Bowl. But I still want to keep it sports related. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Or should I say, one of the worst Super Bowls I've seen in a long time. And I'm not the only one who thinks this, apparently, because when I looked online, a lot of people were saying they weren't even paying attention to the Super Bowl. It was so boring. The commercials were bad. The commercials were really bad. Horribly bad. All right? But, because the theme, if you didn't have a celebrity in a commercial, or you didn't have an animal in a commercial, it didn't work well for some reason. That was the theme, it seems, for all the commercials this year. But that was bad. The Super Bowl was boring. And I understand there's a difference between being a defensive football game and it just being completely boring. And that's what happened. Now, before I start on the Super Bowl, I need to talk to the people who actually gambled on this type of stuff. Because I looked online and I saw at the end of the Super Bowl, people were saying that Vegas made out because they had 90% of people paying for the Panthers to win the Super Bowl. So Vegas made out. Look, this is what Vegas does, all right? But it's not the Super Bowl betting that I had a problem with. It's the other betting on the side I had a problem with. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, let's talk about it right now. All right? Betting on the national anthem. That's right. The length of it. As we know, Lady Gaga came out and sang the national anthem. They had a betting pool. That's right. I'll put the link in the info bar. On how long this anthem would last. And people were mad because it didn't last as long as they thought it would. You're betting on somebody fucking singing an anthem. How stupid can you fucking be? Are you gamblers really that hard up for money? Is your life not really that well? I understand that you want to make more money. I understand people want to do that all the time. More and more and more. I get it. You're never complacent. You shouldn't get complacent because you want to keep rising up. I get that. But to bet on the national fucking anthem. Really? Fucking pathetic. Anyways, to the game. I need to talk about this game, which, if you ask me, was so bad. The referees did a bad job. You're blowing calls left and right. Severe calls. We saw in the first half, that's a catch. And he's like, no, it's not a catch. And the crowd booed. We saw that because it's clear as day. That is a fucking catch. All right? Penalties on top of penalties on top of penalties in the Super Bowl. And look, you can't blame the refs too much for that because the Panthers were committing penalties. They were shooting themselves in the foot. They were. There's nothing you can do about that, okay? The Panthers clearly were outplayed by the Denver Broncos. That defense was so smothering. But what I am seeing today online to say that the Denver Broncos defense of last night is the greatest of all time in defenses, get the fuck out of here. You've got to, no way, no. I will credit the Denver Broncos defense, though, because they were a great defense. However, Talib, when he decided to grab that player's face mask, and he didn't just unintentionally grab the face mask, he grabbed the face mask, spun him around, and threw him out of bounds. You know what? That's ejectable. Because it had intent. It did. You could have hurt somebody. He was trying to tear that man's head off. He was. I want to credit the Denver Broncos defense, so outside of that, I want to credit the Denver Broncos defense because they made Peyton Manning look great. Because Peyton Manning played like shit. He did. And for some reason, we're seeing that, well, you know the media, you know ESPN. I mean, all you got to do is look on ESPN. All they're doing is kissing Peyton Manning's ass. You knew it was going to happen, all right? But you have to understand that this is the second time now that Peyton Manning's won a Super Bowl and Peyton Manning didn't do shit in Super Bowl. And everyone's going to say, well, look at his numbers. You do realize if Norman didn't drop those 2 interceptions last night, all right, clear interceptions, Peyton Manning would have thrown 3 interceptions last night. 3, all right? Not to mention when Peyton Manning, when he won the Super Bowl against the Rex Grossman Bears, all right, who won that game for him? If anyone remembers the Colts vs. Bears Super Bowl, anybody? His running backs. Joseph Adai, anyone? No one remembers this, huh? Edgerrin James, nobody remembers the way they ran to put them in position to win the Super Bowl, huh? That's what happened. Last night, the defense carried Peyton Manning. And as far as I'm concerned, anybody could have been the quarterback for the Denver Broncos last night and won that game. But no one wants to talk about that. Everyone wants to say Peyton Manning is the greatest player of all time, things of that nature. Look, Peyton Manning is a great player. He's a great football player. If you want to call him the greatest of all time, I don't have a problem with that either. I don't. I don't have any ill malice towards Peyton Manning. But last night, he played like shit. There's 2 Super Bowls now he has played where he's played like, no, I'm sorry, not 2, 3 Super Bowls he's played like shit because we saw what happened when he played against Seattle. This is something that you have to look at. Look at the hard truth of things, all right? He did not play well last night. He didn't play well against the Colts, and he didn't play well against Seattle. However, he got his rings, and look, he wants to go out on top. Storybook ending, that's fine. I do not have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Peyton Manning. He's a great quarterback. He is. But you gotta be kidding me that this ass kissing is... Look, Denver Broncos defense did what they needed to do last night. They hassled Cam. They made sure to stop the run, which for some fucking reason, I don't understand why you're still trying to run the ball. Look, I get that you're trying to keep their defense honest. I get it, okay? But clearly it's not fucking working. It's not. And it's absolutely ridiculous. They said, we're just going to keep running. We're going to keep running. It got to one point where they ran the ball twice in a row, so you knew that on 3rd and 10, that Cam Newton had to throw the ball. It was predictable. So guess what? Defense had dropped back. They dropped back because they knew it was coming. They had no choice. This is what I mean when you have to mix up plays. You should know when to abandon certain things and then come back to them. I blame the offensive coordinator last night for that. I do. However, let's talk about Cam Newton. Because a lot of people are jumping on Cam Newton because of the way he acted and the way he played and things of that nature. So let's talk about that. Cam Newton. You got out there. You tried. I'm not going back on Cam Newton for that. But there's times that you didn't try. And I'll show that, okay? Now look, after this game, a lot of people were so happy that Cam Newton did not win. And that's pretty sad. Because they're like, first, I've seen a lot of was a discussion about people not wanting a black quarterback to win. Some people on Twitter actually admitted they didn't want a black quarterback to win. I don't understand why race has to play an issue in this case when it's about hardcore talent. That's what it's about. Cam Newton said himself, and I agree. The Denver Broncos outplayed the Carolina Panthers. Bottom line. That's it. But for those who want to criticize Cam, all right, I'll give you something to criticize him about instead of just being blatant ignorant idiots, okay? Cam Newton, can you explain to me why you did not try to pick up this fumble and during the game? Because it seemed like you were really scared.
So here's the fumble knocked out of his hands by Miller, and then instead of...
So Super Cam, why didn't you dive on the ball? I mean, this is the Super Bowl. This is the end-all, be-all. This game is what defines legends. And you decided to not dive on the ball, to not sacrifice to help your team. Because as far as I'm concerned, the team tried as hard as they could. The offensive line just couldn't handle that defense and keep you protected. Because let's be honest here, you were hurried, you were hit, you were sacked. I mean, this is just on the first half. You were under fire all game. You were. However, it seemed like the longer the game went on, the more you just felt, you got a little dejected. You just weren't interested. And I find that kind of weird because during the first half, you weren't down by much. Hell, during the end of this game, you weren't down by much until, they started, putting it in at the end. But it was still a close game on both sides of this ball. I don't understand why you couldn't feel as though you need to dive on that ball. Like I said, the criticism behind that, I am for. Okay? You want to jump on Cam for that? That's fine. But what I've seen people, they're so happy. He's not smiling. He's not dancing. And we'll talk about that in a minute, all right? He's so arrogant. I'm happy that he lost. And I find that funny as well when we talk about arrogance. Because even though he's being arrogant, all right, and you shun him, I remember not too long ago Donald Trump being being arrogant and everyone praising him. I remember when Aaron Rodgers, when he was double checking, he's pointing to his crotch. He was being arrogant, and he was a pillar, of football. That's classy. But as soon as Cam decides to dab on somebody, then it's a fucking problem. Yeah. Double standards. You should know how this is going to go by now. And this is what football does, isn't it? Because when Richard Sherman, when they went to the Super Bowl, I'm the best corner in the game, blah, blah, blah. What happened? He was a thug. He was ignorant. They called him every name in the book, didn't they? And like I said, you don't really want to go to the race route. You don't. But seeing what these people have been saying, I should say over the weekend even, because we had this discussion also in the barbershop too. You know what I mean? I really need to take camera and just bring it in the barbershop. But that's what it is, you know what I mean? But it goes to show you that this type of hatred towards a guy simply because he's enjoying playing football, he's smiling, and they're pointing, what's the problem? It's football. Do y'all not understand all it takes is one play, one collision to end your career? Do you not understand that? So you live it up to the fullest. I find it funny that people are getting on Cam now because he did this with the media last night.
You didn't hit the back in tight games, all shake the band. He really games like take away. Yeah, we thought that was
No.
I know you're disappointed, not just for yourself and your teammates, because you guys talked about how you are a band of brothers coming in. And it's got to be real tough for everybody on lock.
Load the box, force y'all to throw the ball. So you throw the football. And that was the game plan. Load the box, one-on-one man outside. They got a couple big plays, but
Now there's some people who were calling that classless. How the fuck is that classless? He didn't yell at anybody like, Des Bryant we just saw not too long ago go off on media. He didn't, jump down anybody's throat. He didn't curse anybody out. He didn't freak out. He was just like, I'm out. And he walked off. How is that classless? Look, I'll put it like this. That man just lost the biggest game of his life. Of his career, I should say. Of his career. All right? That is the defining moment. The Super Bowl is the defining moment. And he lost that. He failed. You telling me he's not allowed to be upset? Is that what you're telling me? Is that a time where he's not allowed to be quiet? It's not like he's going off and yelling at people or blaming anybody, pointing fingers, but he's just quiet. That's all he's doing, he's quiet. So he's damned if he do, if he's smiling, and he's dancing, and he's all this, and he's damned if he don't, if he doesn't say anything at all. And I find it funny because when Marshawn Lynch, said, look, I don't want to talk to the media, everyone was like, he's right. He shouldn't have talked to the media. Even I said it. It's wrong that the media would make him do it. It shouldn't be mandatory to talk to the media because players were getting fined. And we saw fans say, you know what? They shouldn't be fined for that. That's ridiculous. Players are still human. They're not fucking robots. Y'all understand this, right? So as far as I'm concerned, it's not classless. He's upset. He has every right to be upset. I understand. I can understand if he went off on somebody and it's like, whoa, okay, that's wrong. You know what I mean? But even Cam said himself, he said, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm sorry. He apologized. What does he say? What do you say in that moment? I mean, he's already said that the Denver Broncos outplayed them. What else do you want him to say? He's saying, I don't know what you want me to say. He's sad. He's mad. He's got a number of emotions. And he's still saying, I'm sorry. But that's not enough. No. We got to just bury him some more. I find it funny that every time a fucking athlete gets to this high level, this extreme level, and you sit here and you talk about the arrogance of an athlete and the confidence, because let's be honest here, in order to be world class, you have to have that confidence has to be through the fucking roof. It is the only way you will get there. Hello, Ronda Rousey. But as soon as you decide that they lose, you're going to dogpile on them. You're going to throw the dirt on them. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is not me defending Cam, because like I said before, what he did on that field, and by all means, criticize the ever-loving shit out of him. I don't have a problem with that. But when you're happy because this guy was dancing, because he was smiling, now you want to find a reason to jump all over him. And the media, out of all things, you're going to take the media side on this? Seriously. I want to talk about this a little bit more because I've seen it time and time again where people are saying, well, he's losing, so he's not smiling. You should know what that means. Really? I suggest you pony up on that issue and shut the fuck up right now. What's that? Cam Newton smiling and congratulating Peyton Manning? That's so classless of him. Say it ain't so. You've got to be kidding me that this is what people are doing. And I say this due to the fact, and I've told you fucking time and time again. What did I say? When you fans overreact and you have this type of malice, okay? And you decide to just bag on a player like this, the media will see that and take to it. We've seen time. Now the media, and it says in a big headline on ESPN, on SportsCenter, media trashing Cam Newton for his reactions. Because how dare he not talk to them? Fuck the media. What does it matter? Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's Cam Newton. It doesn't matter if it's Marshawn Lynch. I don't care if Peyton Manning decided he came out and said, you know what? I don't want to talk. We won, but I don't feel like talking. He'd have got a pass for that shit, though. The fact is, the media plays the dozens every fucking time, and they try and bait you. And I will show you more of this. And I hope Philly fans are listening, because I got a nice little clip for you to show you how they're trying to fucking bait you. If you don't believe me, you know what? Let's move on, because the Super Bowl, as far as I'm concerned, it was a bust. It was not exciting. There's a difference between having an exciting defensive game and just being boring. I felt it was boring. Like I said, a lot of people online said the same thing. I've seen stuff on Facebook. I've seen stuff on Instagram. People just, their reaction to things is just like, this was me when I was watching the game. And they're texting because they're not paying attention because it's boring. But this was me when I'm watching the halftime show. Like, I'm just seeing it over and over again. People were not very happy with this Super Bowl, so it's not just me, all right? But it's kind of sad to see that this is where it went. Congratulations to the Denver Broncos. I'll say that right now, and their fans, you're true fans, not these bandwagoners. True fans because you won the Super Bowl. You should be excited. You should be living it up right now. Carolina Panther fans, true fans, not the bandwagoners, okay? You got nothing to be ashamed of yourselves about. You had a great fucking season, and you got all the way to the Super Bowl. If anything, you should be, you should be very happy on what happened. Just come back next year and see what happens. They're already talking about how the Carolina Panthers will not be this good next year. We won't know until next season comes around. And you know what? I'm happy football season is over right now so we can move on to the other sports due to the fact that football has generated so much fucking drama and drama queens instead of watching football, talking football. So you know what? Everybody needs a break from that as far as I'm concerned. Let's move on to hockey. That's right. Let's talk about, like I said, the media trying to bait you. Flyers fans, this is what happens when they decide to keep pushing this rivalry with Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh, they ain't doing shit right now, but apparently they need to keep you informed on what Sidney Crosby is doing out there.
We're back with Built for Business, brought to you by Comcast Business. Sidney Crosby wasn't selected for the All-Star game, and last night he let everyone know what they missed in Nashville. Crosby had a hattie and assist in a 6-5 win over the Senators. It's Crosby's 9th career hat trick and first since October of 2013. Sid the Kid riding an 8-game point streak with 8 goals and 6 assists in that span. The Penguins had points in 7 of the 8 games, and he scored goals in each of the last 4. All wins, including one over the Flyers. That's Comcast Business, Built for Business. The Flyers followed.
This man got his own segment on a Philly sports show. His own segment. Had nothing to do with the Flyers, did it? No. Had nothing to do with Flyers fans, did it? No. This is them trying to keep this hatred going towards Sidney Crosby, if you haven't noticed. Now, like I've said this time and time again. I don't have a problem if you hate Sidney Crosby. Look, we're rivals. We don't like Sidney Crosby here in Philadelphia. I get it. Fans get it. We know it, okay? But the fact that they had to sit there and showcase Sidney Crosby by himself had nothing to do with it. Has no segment. And you're going to tell me that's not a bait move? Are you going to tell me you're looking at this and you're saying, fuck Sidney Crosby. I hate Sidney Crosby. That's what they fucking want. They want you to have a reaction so they can say, we can keep feeding this fucking machine so that we can keep writing this shit and bank it off the fucking fans. I don't know how many times I give you these fucking examples. But yet, people don't see it. How? How do you not see this? It really upsets me to see this is how they need to segue. And if you saw at the end, the Flyers played the Canadians. They segued into the Flyers with that. That's what they did. They got your anger up and they got your hype up and say, oh, I'm a Flyers fan. You know what I mean? Fuck Sidney Crosby. Okay, now they're going to talk about the Flyers. So I can watch Flyers. That's what they did. That's what they fucking want. I find it ridiculous that this is how they're playing the Philly fan base, and you know what? You should be demanding better. You should. We saw this with the Eagles all season, and how fans were acting and overreacting and all the bullshit, and guess what? You gave them exactly what the fuck they wanted. Now, since, Super Bowl is over, football season is over, let's do it with the Flyers fans now. You've got to be kidding me. You know what? The Flyers have been playing, I'm going to say well, even though they've been losing. You have to understand that this team has been losing in overtime or in shootouts. That's what that comes to, all right? That's what mostly it comes to. I told you before, this is going to take a while for this team to get better. But if you look at those, you think, and then we're talking what if now. We usually don't talk what ifs, okay? But if the Flyers win these games, they're not that far out of the rankings. They would actually make them wild card. They would. All right? They're not that bad. They just need more discipline. And like I said, it's going to take a while with the new coach. Don't get so upset on the Flyers just yet. It's just one of those things, okay? It's got to happen. This is not like being a Sixers fan. It's amazing all the things I've seen, especially after this season of football and how Eagles fans are reacting. If you're an Eagles fan and you're so upset at what happened this season, try being a fucking Sixers fan. It'll kill you. But let's move on. I don't want to talk about the Sixers. Not this week. Not this week. I really don't want to talk about Chelsea, football overseas, but I do need to mention some things. Okay? I want to talk about how they played Watford, and they played Manchester United back-to-back. Well, not back-to-back, but 2 games in 1 week. You got draws. You should have beat Watford, and you barely escaped Manchester United with a draw. I'm going to say that I'm on the fence on this one. One side of me is happy that you're showing some gusto. You're still in 13th. You could have really moved up if you won these games. You're showing some gusto, but I'm disappointed at the outcomes of some of these because, really, you should have beat Watford. You should have. Okay? I can't believe it. You should have. As far as I'm concerned, you know how I feel about Manchester United. So, all right? So, as far as I'm concerned, you should have beat Manchester United as well. But that's just me as a fan, you know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? There's no ill malice to any Manchester United fans because we all talk, you know what I mean? But the fact is, I'm on the fence with this. We will see what happens, coming up. But you got to start winning games. Seriously, you could be in better position than what you are. Diego Costa, once again, is doing Diego Costa. He is scoring goals. You know what? I can't really get on him. I really can't. There's times his attitude is still getting to him, but he's scoring goals. I can't say anything. I can't. Anyways, I do want to move on to basketball. And we need to have a talk. Because it is getting the Griffin Force flop of the week. And as I said, I want to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about Sixers in the play-wise, but I do need to talk about some news about it. Griffin Force flop of the week, which I'm going to segue into, goes to the Knicks and the Celtics. Now, look, Melo didn't do anything wrong here. You're going to see it, and you'll be like, the hell? He did not hit this man as hard. Marcus Smart, you laid on the ground. You know what? You are the flop of the week. I cannot believe that you did this.
Goes back into Anthony.
Yo, did y'all hear how hard he hit the ground? It's almost like a train hit him. Like, you got to be kidding me. You'd have thought that Melo had picked him up and slammed him as hard as he hit that ground. There is no way. And you can tell it was so distracting that Melo shot the ball, hit the side of the backboard. So distracting that, you've got to be kidding me that this is what it's come to. No way. But you know what? Like I said, I want to segue into this Griffin Force flop of the week, because for those who don't know, the Sixers are talking about trading for Blake Griffin. That's right. Yes, you know what? Please, I believe this. It's a selfish one because you know what? It would just make the Griffin Force flop of the week that much funnier. But the fact is, we do not need Blake Griffin. For people who are sitting here saying, we should get him, I guess I need to break this down for you. Okay? So let's talk about this. First, let's talk about Blake Griffin's attitude. For those who don't know, Blake Griffin is already out for 2 months with a messed up hand due to the fact that he punched his equipment manager. That's right, messed up his hand, so he's been out for 2 months. Before that, he had a torn ACL, so he was out before that. You have to understand that Blake Griffin, with his attitude, even though he is a good player, okay, as a 4, he cannot shoot the 3. He can't. He's a mid-range shooter now. Remember before, he didn't even have mid-range. He was just a dunker. But you have to understand, with the pieces that they want to give for Blake Griffin, it's not worth it. It's not. Even if you gave him away Embiid, can you really get that much trade value out of him since he's never stepped on an NBA court? Seriously. It's one of those things where it's like you want Blake Griffin. But for those who don't know, if you look at the numbers for the LA Clippers, since Griffin has been out, the Clippers have played better without him. So it goes to show you that when it comes to hearing big names and all-stars and stuff like that, you can't really just say, hey, Blake Griffin, let's take him. You can't do that. Because for what they want for him, it's not worth it. You'll be giving away. For this to be a rebuild, remember, a rebuild in this vision that it's supposed to take some time and the youth and blah, 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 you would be giving away half of that youth to have Blake Griffin. Now, granted, he's 26, 27 years old. He's experienced. He's an all-star. He can play. But for what you've been trying to build and what you've been feeding fans for the previous couple of seasons, and all this fucking losing and stocking draft picks and bringing guys from over... You know what? The Sixers have a tendency to get guys who are already injured, don't they? It doesn't make any sense. The trade would not make sense. Unless you're really giving away a lot of these draft picks and keeping those pieces. If you're keeping those pieces and you're trying to do that with Blake, that's one thing. But also understand that Blake Griffin is a free agent, I believe, after this season. So he would get traded to come here. Do you really think he wants to stay here if we're not a contender? Okay. I'm just saying. It wouldn't make any sense. None of the factors, unless he's going to sign a deal, all right, or an extension or something, it wouldn't make any sense to get this man. Not let alone put up with his attitude and punching people and carrying on. We see this with Okafor already. We don't need another. All right? But he's got an attitude problem. He's constantly injured. No. No, it won't work. Not to mention, you just got, Elton Brand back. You re-signed him. Has he played yet? No, he hasn't, has he? Because you're treating him with kid gloves. Like I said, I don't want to talk about the Sixers play that much. I want to talk about the actual deals, that what's going on with the Sixers. It makes no sense. It doesn't. And speaking of the Sixers, remember last week where we talked about the Sixers and the facility, and I showed you how Nerlens, he jumped on Drummond's back? Remember? And I saw the comments, people like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. For the foul, because it's the hack-a-shack rule. Check this out. The NBA is considering jumping on the back foul labeled as a flagrant foul. That's right. So now if you jump on someone's back, they're going to say it's a flagrant instead of an intentional, just a regular intentional personal foul. Now here's the thing. They're discussing this and considering this, but they won't consider this until later. That's right. They won't put it in now. No. To stop all of it. No. It has to be later. I don't understand this. If you want something to work, then you have to, institute it now. I mean, how hard is it to tell a player, look, don't jump on his back? How hard is that to tell a player? Don't jump on his back. Common sense, right? But no, the NBA has to consider it and do all these red tape and bullshit. And we'll, if it green lights and goes through, we'll deal with it later. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Unreal. The NBA is always slow. They are so slow. You know what? You haven't fixed the flopping issue yet. You haven't. Why don't you start with that? All right? And just have coaches, tell their players, just don't jump on his back. Grab him, hold him up, wrap him up or something. Don't jump on his back. That's all you gotta say. It's not that fucking hard. Apparently it is these days. You know what else is hard? Stopping the dab. My God. Ever since the video I showed you guys and girls last week, all right? On Twitter, you have been sending me so many different dabs. We have seen it from players. We have seen it from kids. We have seen logos of it. We saw it, was it Squidward from SpongeBob is doing a dab. You just keep sending me and saying, it's getting worse. Like I said, nobody is safe. So once again, I'm watching a basketball game, and what do you think happens?
Well, when you talk about the three-point shooting of the Pacers tonight, it's been very efficient. Paul George has knocked down a bunch. George Hill is shooting a career-high 44%. You've got to be looking for maybe one of those guys on this attempt.
Well, look, you're made 12 threes already. And we know that C.J. Miles has got to come in the game because he and George are two of your best, okay? But the big thing right now is, what are you going to do?
Oh, my God. Stop it. Oh, my God. What did commentators do? Did they deserve this? Huh? I'm about to make a video. I'm going to make a single video just like for 10 cents a day. Even you can save commentators from being dabbed on. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Come on, man. Just let it, you know what? Now that the Super Bowl is over and Cam Newton them lost, maybe the dab will go away immediately. Maybe we'll see it. You never know. But you got to be kidding me that we got people, this is the second week in a row where people in the background just dabbing on commentators. Just dabbing for this fucking, just dabbing. Like, come on. You're killing me. Oh my God. I want to move on. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. That's so bad. Let's talk about UFC. Oh my God. What the fuck? Alright, UFC. This weekend in UFC was really well. Once again, UFC has put on a great card. These guys are fighting. You know what I mean? And it's not many go to decision. This weekend, a lot of brutal fighting. A lot of, standing in. I want to talk about one in particular because I thought it was fucking excellent, okay? I want to talk about Hendricks versus Wonderboy Thompson. If you see the spacing that Thompson and the angles that Thompson was taking against Hendricks, and every time Hendricks, as we know, Hendricks has some serious throwing power. We know this. If you don't believe me, go ask George St. Pierre. Just saying, all right? Great power when it comes to his hands. But what Wonderboy Thompson did was so great. Like, to keep his distance. The way he shut him down from getting in close, okay? And ending up putting him on his heels. And then he got to a point where he was being effective. And then what happened? Hendricks just he pretty much crumbled up when he got hit with a big shot. Got hit. And then Thompson just went to work on him. And it was great to watch. It was, it was now a 7-fight win streak, is it? I believe. So that's something you really have to, he deserves a title shot. He just beat the number 2 man. He was what, ranked number 8? He just beat the number 2 man. Get that man a title shot. It was a work of art. It was a thing of beauty to watch the way he worked that octagon. I understand a lot of people at first are going to say, well, he was distancing himself. He's keeping himself distance, but he's rotating. It almost looks like he's running. No. He's feeling his opponent out. He's trying to neutralize what his Hendricks' strength is. We know he's going to get in. He's going to throw at you. Or, as we know, Hendricks is an amazing wrestler. We know this, okay? What he did, keep his distance. Make sure that if he's going to try to come in, he's going to have to pay for that. He's going to have to respect that power. And I think that's what it is. I think if you watch that fight, at first, Hendricks didn't respect that power. Mid into the fight, he was like, okay, I have to start respecting it. I have to find another way in if I can get in there. And you know what? He couldn't find it. And I really believe, for those who have never seen a guy who wants to keep his distance against a guy who just wants to fight in a fucking phone booth, that is a great example of trying to keep your distance and coming out victorious. I do want to move on. Like I said, I want to talk about... get to the end of the video. We are at the end of the video, and I want to talk to you guys and girls about what happened over the weekend with me. I'm going to say this now. I've been presented an opportunity. I told you before, for those who've watched my boxing videos, and we've talked in the comment section, I've been presented with the opportunity to fight on a big scale. Okay? Now, I'll say this. On Friday, I was told, because I had a boxers meeting on Friday at the facility, we were told that we had to go to Delaware County to go get assessed by, some big-time guys, some big promoters. And I told you guys before, I was talking to some promoters, and I even talked about in gaming video how, I work with, I always have to deal with boxing promotions. So on Friday, I was told I was going to be assessed. I was told that I was going to be fighting some big-time, some really heavy hitters, and I shouldn't look at this fight as, these fights, as a win or lose situation. This is a learning situation. They told me I'm going to go in and I'm going to get my ass kicked, pretty much, right? So on Friday, I was a little upset because I was pretty much being told I was being, a lamb fed to the slaughter, right? That was on Friday. I was upset all Friday night, into Saturday when it was time to go. By the time Saturday morning came, I just didn't care. It was more like, just punch me in the face. I don't care. Mentally, I wasn't there. I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? So Saturday, I go to the facility. We pack up the plate, we pack up the, the car or whatever. They took five of us. We went there to go get assessed. We get there, and I'll put it like this. I'll say shout-outs to Delaware, Delaware County Boxing Academy. They have some great fighters. They do. They have, their facility seems a little bit smaller than ours, but they have so much more to work with when it comes to equipment-wise. So I want to give them that credit, too. They really made the best of their, their space. Their fighters, very friendly, very warm, very welcoming, very nice. You know what I mean? So, I was supposed to, for what I told, I was supposed to fight 3 or 4 guys, and they didn't show up. Only one guy showed up. The guy I fought, like I said, I was going into this not really caring. I didn't even warm up for my assessment. I didn't even warm up. You know what I mean? Get in the ring, and guy comes at me like bull in a china shop. You know what I mean? Which was kind of unexpected because I really feel, as with fights, you feel out things at first. No, this guy came straight forward. He didn't give a shit. Just came right at me. Now, before the fight started, I was told, my trainer was telling me, he was like, you're going to have to outthink him. And I thought the same thing. But my head wasn't in the game. You know what I mean? It really wasn't. You know what I mean? Usually I'm more tactical. If somebody throws a combination at me and I see it the first time, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let him throw a combination again because now I know it's coming and I know how to counter off of it. That wasn't the case in this one. The guy wasn't faster than me, but he was legit. I'm not taking anything away from this guy. He's fucking legit. He couldn't get past my jab. I thought it was, I thought he did great. Like, even while I was hitting him with a jab, the trainer was like, he's like, you got to be first. You have to be first because he's really getting at you. So, jabs, left hook. To be honest, I didn't feel my right straight was there that day. I just didn't feel the motion. I didn't feel it was fluid. Right straight wasn't there that day. However, when I hit him with a right straight, it actually stunned him. And here's the thing in mentality, okay? Because when I stunned him and he went back to the ropes and he was like this, I'm thinking to myself, you should go. Go. That's your chance. And I didn't. You know what I mean? Like I said, mentally, I just wasn't, I didn't care. Like, even when he was hitting me, like I said, he would hit me with a good combination. And I was just like, and the thing is, I didn't feel it either. I was just like, whatever. Like, it was most of the shots that he took was on the right side of my face because of the way I was rotating. Didn't hurt. Didn't feel anything. Didn't second guess anything. Came back with the same combination. Didn't second guess anything. He hit me again with it. Came back again with the third combination. Didn't second guess anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so mentally, I wasn't there. I wasn't trying to counter. I wasn't looking, for spots to, like, I was just there. Everything felt like I was on autopilot with my body. That's what it felt like. I just wasn't there. However, after the third, fourth time, left hook came around. You know what I mean? Like, then it started, I started getting into a groove. But the thing is, my body was in the groove, but my mind wasn't in the groove. You know what I mean? Because there were so many shots that I should have taken, and I realized afterwards when they were talking about it, that, I had them, and I didn't do anything about it. So, we went one round. That's all we went, one round. You know what I mean? Great round. Guy was monsters. He just kept pressing forward. He was the ring general. He took the middle of the ring. Mind you, the ring was only 12 by 12, so it was a really small ring. But it was great. It was a great experience. Then I found out, because like after the fight, I was after the round, after being assessed, I was like, I didn't feel as though I did well. You know what I mean? I could see the times that I did do well, but I felt as though I didn't do well. And here's the thing: the owner, the promoter, was like, that was a hard round to judge. He was like, it could go either way. My trainer was like, you did great against the guy. Other guys were like, you lost that round. Other guys were like, you won that round. So once again, it was only one round, but it was hard to judge because I held my own. Or so that's what they were saying. The promoter told me like 10 different times, he's like, you're talented. I want you on my next card to fight. Now, here's the thing. Before I get into that part of negotiation about being in the card to fight, I want to talk about the fighter that I fought. I did not know that this guy had 27 fights under his belt. He's a Golden Gloves champion. He's going back into the Golden Gloves again this month, in March to fight. Then he goes to Nationals. Then he goes pro. But he's already had 27 fights under his belt. Mind you, I don't have any official fights under my belt. I don't. So when the promoter asked, he was like, you look really good. How many fights you have under your belt? You know what I mean? That's been on the main stage. I told him, I was like, I don't have any. And he was shocked. He's like, whoa, really? He's like, what the heck? Like, he was like, I want you for the next fight. And he was like, in the fight, and I want y'all to hear this, the fight will be at Harrah's Casino. Big stage, big lights, in the casino. Now, I know a lot of people, you're probably listening, you're saying, that's a great opportunity. Now, here's the problem I have with this. All right, first off, the fight is in May, if I take it. It was supposed to be, and mind you, I was told the entire time when I was training, I would have a fight in March. And it was supposed to be in January, but it was pushed back to March, for those who remember, because I had kidney stones and things of that nature, so I couldn't do anything. It was supposed to be pushed back to mid-March. So I already made plans, for those who don't know, in April, I'm going to London. In May, I'm already booked to go to Atlanta. Like, I'm already, booked these places. So it's going to be hard for me to train up to now because I have places to go, not to mention real-life things. The guy that I fought, check this out, his grandfather was a boxer. His dad was a boxer. He's been in the gym fighting since 6 years old. This guy, 8 hours a day, eats, breathes, shits boxing. This is what he does. Even when I was leaving, he was like, yeah, I'm going to be here for another 2 hours just hitting heavy bag. He enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I don't have that type of time to be doing that. I got to work, I got to take care of family. I can't get that type of training. Now, granted, if I fought, that wouldn't be the guy I'm fighting. But those are the type of guys who do this. You know what I mean? That's what they do. This is what they live by this shit. I have too many things to do to say I live by this. I can't drop everything and just be like, I'm going to go full-on pro box. I can't do that. Not to mention, I got jiu-jitsu tournaments coming up this year. Not to mention, I got a number of runs coming up this year. I got Spartan races coming up this year. You have to understand, I have so many things on my plate. I got a run coming up this weekend. I don't have the time. I don't. Now, here's the thing also with the negotiation. The money they are offering so far, for what I heard. Because you're thinking, look, if you're going to take this fight, it would have to be more than what you're paying to go to London, or more what you're paying to go to Atlanta, when it comes to convention fees, or going to London and paying for airplane fare tickets and hotels and stuff. It's got to somewhat cover that, right? Because if I cancel that stuff, right? They're offering me $300. Yeah. Now, I know you're saying, but it's in the casino, you get exposure, you fight. $300. That's not a cost for a medical bill. That doesn't cover costs for my trainer, because trainer's got to be paid, cut man got to be paid. That doesn't cover costs for rental. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, you ever see where boxers go and warm up and wherever venue they're at? Yeah, they got to rent that out. and it doesn't cover the rental for that, $300. That's not good enough. I'm going to be punched in the face for $300. And then I got to split that $300 with my facility because, like I said, trainer has to be paid, cut man has to be paid, all these people have to be paid. Rental, all that type of stuff for your equipment, to store your stuff in lockers and stuff. Yeah, all that stuff has to be paid. $300. On Saturday, I said no. On Sunday, I said no. Because to be honest, I'm actually kind of hurt right now. You see I'm wearing a sleeve? You see how I'm doing this? I wasn't able to do this on Saturday. You ever hyperextend your elbow? And you feel that pain immediately, hyperextend your elbow? After the fight, I'm going to say, because I didn't hyperextend my elbow during the fight, but hours later, I felt it coming on. I felt inside of my elbow throbbing. Took inflammation pill. I really don't take much medicine, but I had to. Kept it compressed, iced, heat, things of that nature. By Saturday night, I could not extend my arm. My arm was here all Saturday night. I couldn't extend it, all right? Because as soon as I tried to extend it, you could feel it popping, and that pain ran up into my arm. Saturday night, I didn't go to sleep till about 5 a.m. because of the pain. Didn't take any pain pills. I don't really take pain pills. Sunday, felt a little bit better, but I was still having problems. I was supposed to have training on yesterday, and I couldn't go. The trainer told me to stay home. He was like, maybe it's something minor. Today I have to go so they can check me out. You know what I mean? It feels a little bit better. As you can see, I'm extending my arm, so it does feel a little bit better. But the rest of injuries that you take, and like I said, and this one of these things where it's like I said, I didn't overextend myself, hyperextend myself when I was punching, because he was in my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? That's why he was being tagged so much, in my wheelhouse. But the pain afterwards, you know what I mean? That's what happens. It's one of those things. Sunday night, I finally took a pain pill. You know what I mean? I had to. There's no way I was going to be able to get up this morning if I didn't. It's one of those things. These are the drawbacks sometimes you have when you're boxing or you get hurt. So to train, and there's no way I'm going to facility today to go checked out, but there's no way I can be able to train today. My arm, no. Unless someone really pisses me off and I get an adrenaline rush and want to get in the ring and fight somebody, it's not happening. You know what I mean? It's done. It's over with. You know what I mean? But I saw the difference in mentality that day. And it wasn't just my mentality as opposed to his mentality that I fought. It was the overall mentality of the fighters. The way they were fighting in that gym is completely different than our facility. We're a little bit more laid back. You know what I mean? These guys were killers. They were. 16-year-olds were in there acting like killers, man. And like I said, I want to give that gym so much credit because that's the mentality you have. You know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to have. You know what I mean? No matter how much this promoter can tell me how talented I am and how, you know what I mean, I'm pretty much a diamond in the rough. And like I said, he told me like 10 times he wants me on his card. $300 does not cover enough for me to say I'm going to go to this casino in May. After coming back from London, you know what I mean, in May, and gotten, and then having to go to Atlanta and say I'm ready for this fight. This fight was, like I said, was supposed to be in January, was supposed to be in March, and then you tell me on Saturday it's going to be in May. But it is a bigger venue. It's a huge venue. I get that. I just wanted you guys and girls' advice on this. You know what I mean? I want to hear, like I said, I've talked to friends, I've talked to family, and a lot of them say, you know what, it seems like your heart's really not into this anymore. You know what I mean? Especially since you have so many things coming up. You got jiu-jitsu tournaments coming up that you really look forward to. Can you really balance all of this? Granted, it's a great opportunity to fight on TV and in a big venue, but it doesn't cover the cost. I'll be in the red. You know what I mean? Unless they can come, like I said, I'll go talk to my trainer today about it and see what he says and see if they can come up with a better price or whatever, if they really want me to fight in May. But it really will be an uphill battle. It will be. But I just wanted to, ask you people advice. Like I said, friends, family, I talked to them about it. I'm just trying to gauge everyone's opinion. You know what I mean? On how you're doing, and I'll come up with a decision then. Like I said, I've already said I said no, Friday, but maybe I just overreacted. You know what I mean? I said no immediately because of what I heard. Sunday, I was still like no. You know what I mean? Today's Monday, and I just still wanted to get more. I'm still mulling. I'm getting to the point now where maybe I did overreact, and I'm just trying to mull it over. You know what I mean? And see how it goes. So I just wanted to, hear what you guys and girls had to say. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. It's been a hell of a sports week. I'll talk to y'all then, and y'all be safe. And just to let you know, just want to say thank you, or should I say for the kid, for those who've been watching those boxing videos. He wants to thank everyone because he does see the comments, and he is, he's very proud. Kid's come a long way. You haven't seen him as of late. He's come a long way so far, and he's already asked to be recorded again. He wants to be recorded again. So we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? We'll record again, and if we have the time, maybe this week we'll see, because we're going to work on some things. I need to work on his instep. Gazelle punch, I want 2 things I want to teach him is the Gazelle punch, and I want to teach him how to Dempsey roll as well. So I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Y'all have a good one. And like I said, Panther fans, don't be so bad. Don't be so sad. Y'all had a great run. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.